think the microphone might be... Oh, and... Look, there I am. I hope everyone's had a... I don't know. Yeah, now it's working. I hope everyone's had a good week. Let's see, how did it go? Yeah, with the chat last week. Hey Stephen, hey Nadia, Mats. Attempted chatting failed spectacularly. Nadia, oops. Hope you have been feeling better though. I'm so sorry, I was typing and it wouldn't let me send. Soon to send. How are you, Mats? Okay, Mats, how about we, you and I, next week, we set up a Discord channel. I already have it done, but just need to work out the details. And I was going to have this whole system automated with everything, but we'll just do it manually in the beginning. So let's, either this weekend or next week, if you have time, we'll just sit down a little bit and chat and work out the details, and then we'll just start it. It will have to be a bit rough in the beginning, and then we'll work it out later on. Hey Christian, nice to see you. Haven't even adjusted. I can tell you that, yes, yeah, are you good at C++, Nadia? So we can do some programming on the back end? Just kidding. We just need to, it's not that complicated. Well, there are you can put all these routines in place and make it automatic, like who you add to the Discord channel and how all that works, but I'll just do it manually to begin with. Thank you, Mats. I appreciate that. I have a new toy today. I've been wanting one of these for such a long time, and I ordered one, but it disappeared from Amazon. So instead of, usually I just do my phone, but now I should be able to do this and then press. I might get a shock from that vibration though, because that's really intense actually. But it's just so nice to finally have a decent timer, so I don't have to have my telephone every time. That feels wrong somehow. And good news also, declaration taxes are almost done. It's so nice to have that done. That's been a big thing that I've just been having to do the last few days. So now I'm getting ready to start doing all the fun stuff again, like with the form and anything. It would be so nice to have it afterwards, because I didn't know how that worked when I turn off the stream. But apparently the chat disappears. But then you have the Discord and you can chat there, and maybe there's even a way to... I don't know how Discord is with... Yeah, you have voice chats on Discord. Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually we can have chat rooms so that for the people who are members, they can actually go into a room and you can just pop online if you want to chat. You can just go on and it'll be a voice channel instead of a chat channel. That's true. That exists. So that way it will be very easy to talk to each other. And if anyone wants to chat afterwards, you can just pop in there, or if it's like during the week and someone's like, oh, I want to talk to someone, or I just want to hang out a little bit, and just like we were talking about last time, it's difficult to find friends when you get older because you don't meet people in the same way. And I think we meet people socially online also, even though it's not the same, but you can meet people as we meet here. You can find people who you would never find otherwise. So that's one of the advantages, of course. But then you need to have a way of actually talking to them. Nadia, I need to ask a meditation question. Someone told me today they do transcendental meditation and that the focus of all meditation is to still the mind. Is that true? No, that is not true. That might be the focus of transcendental meditation. I actually, when I was in the States, like 1999 or 2000, I had a girlfriend who was an au pair in America, and she was an au pair with the people who, one of the people who brought transcendental meditation to America. So actually, that was one of my earliest introductions to meditation. And I spoke to them about it. And transcendental meditation is one of those things they're really good at marketing, and they're very big. And I think they charge a lot of money for their services. I would say that that's like the biggest mistake of all, believing that meditation is about stilling the mind, because it's one of those fallacies. When you start out, you believe, if I could just stop my mind, everything would be amazing, if I would just have no thoughts. But once you're able to do that, you realize that that's not true. Stilling the mind is not all it's made up to be, because even if you have a still mind, you still have all these distortions. The problem isn't the thoughts. When you we were talking last time about how you didn't feel well, Nadia, and if you think about that, the problem is not the thoughts you have, whatever they may be. The problem is the feeling you have in your body. That is the problem. And you can have absolutely no thoughts and still have that feeling. I actually saw a documentary about there are people who don't have thoughts. At least they claim not to have thoughts. I don't know if that means that they simply aren't aware of them, or they don't know how to observe them, or that they might not actually have a self-dialogue going. But they still have feelings and bad moods and stuff, so it's not that they get rid of that. So they still suffer, meaning that, the focus of all meditation is definitely not to still the mind. It's a aspect of most meditations. Thinking if there's probably, I can come up with so many crazy meditation techniques, and I'm sure there is one where they intentionally speed up the mind because they want to have some kind of effect from that. So no, the focus of all meditation is not to still the mind, but it is something that a lot of techniques do, and when we do it here, it's more of a positive side effect. That's not the goal. We're not trying to still the mind. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to observe this pressure, the friction that you have towards the world around you, and that friction is what separates you. So when you feel sad or lonely is easier, let's say left out, I feel left out from a group, then you really create that separation of this is a point here and I'm feeling away from that group, and you have this strong pressure. That is the thing that creates the sense of self. That's the thing we're trying to observe. So, people say all kinds of things, and I think especially when you're in something like transcendental meditation, which is not really a cult, but it's really a group of people who believe they have the best meditation. Same as Vipassana with S.N. Goenka, they also have the same thing. Like, we accept all traditions, but like everyone else, you should just do our tradition. We have the true message of the Buddha. And then you have, what are the other ones? Kriya Yoga is one that also talks similar. They're a bit more open, maybe. And there's one I keep thinking of. What is that? There's another meditation technique that really are into their own. A lot of people believe that their technique is the only one that really works. That's why I don't have a technique that I think is the technique, because I think all techniques works. It's just that if you understand what you're trying to do, it will be so much easier. I think there are super good things in transcendental meditation. Absolutely. I think it's probably an amazing technique. But they also do a lot of things that create more of this distance. And one of them is believing that the whole idea is to still the mind, which is futile. You can't do that long term. Mats. Oh, and I am fine. Just very nice, Mats. Mats is living the glory life. Yeah. I get a hangover from a glass of wine. I can drink 2 glasses of wine and I'm completely knocked out. This is my very first hangover. What? Wow, that's amazing. This is part of what getting older feels like, Mats. And no, actually, part of what it feels like to get older is that you want to go to bed at 9 o'clock. You're too tired to go out partying. Yeah, hangover is definitely not worth it. Hey, Jack, nice to see you. So, are we talking about meditation techniques? Yeah, a lot of people strive for it, and you need to do that. Like, if it doesn't help if I tell you that, it doesn't matter, like stilling your mind, that's not going to help much, because you have to try it. And that's with all of these things that everyone has to go through these things themselves, because if you haven't, then you're always going to be thinking about, like, what if maybe that is the thing. Because if I could just, everyone thinks that if I could just stop my thoughts. I used to believe that for so long. I really thought that if I could just stop my thoughts. And then when I was actually able to do that, I realized, hey, wait a minute, that's, so what? Like, I have to keep doing it over and over and over. And it's not really that I still my thoughts, it's that I still this distortion, this pressure, vibration, this constant flux that's within me that's creating this sense of self. And that is calm. And then from that, the mind gets still because there's nothing agitating it. That's the main thing. But we're not used to seeing those as separate things. We just believe thoughts are the problem because it's the only thing we can talk about, touch on. It's the only thing we can give a precise, okay, I am thinking about a blue elephant. Like that's, I can tell you that. But if I ask you, what does jealousy feel like? What does heartache feel like? What does depression feel like? What does sadness feel like? What does happiness feel like? What does contentment feel like? Everyone has different interpretations of what that means, and we cannot. Can you give me an exact, like if I ask you what does sadness feel like? Like how would you put words to that? I feel sad. Well, it's a like I don't even know what words to put to that. Is that like it's a feeling inside of me? It might hurt in the chest. I think children are probably better at this, and they, like I said, we can't describe those things. So that's why when all psychology and all philosophy, everything deals with the thoughts, because that's the one thing that we can describe and talk to others about. But our actual feelings, that's very difficult to do. Observe the mind till the observer is gone. Yeah, that's also something that's there's more to it than that. So you can observe this, like they say that you stir the fire with a stick and eventually the stick is gone. The problem with that is that when you do that, it feels like the observer is gone, but the sense of self is not gone. So what happens is that there's a perspective when you watch, and I'm watching here and I feel that I'm watching you. And I can feel that there's a perspective. That perspective disappears and everything just is. It feels like it's more flat, like there's not a distance in between. But there is still distortion, there's still a pressure. But since you don't feel like there's an observer there, people believe, oh, I'm done. Like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, actually. That's why you hear all people say, who claim to be enlightened or liberated. They talk about it and like, yeah, I'm free, there's no one here, and there's sadness, but there's no one feeling it. It's just because the tightness they felt has kind of gotten loose. It's not so tight anymore, so it doesn't feel like there's anyone there, but there is still a centered point. Your perspective still originates. And that's the thing that's so difficult for people to get, because it feels so different to experience reality like that. And everyone talks about this, and so they think, oh, I'm done. So when people say, observe the mind till the observer is gone, what they mean when they say that is that loss of perspective, but there's more to it than that. So I would say that that's a misbelief, because if you continue beyond that and you really keep on going, you'll see that that's just the start. Then there is this pressure that I'm talking about, and that really can change so much more than most people believe. As it turned into like the party chat, I feel so old when I'm listening to this. Like, I honestly, like if we go out to party to friends, when it's 9 or 10 o'clock, I'm just like, I just need to go to bed now. I'm so tired, and I keep thinking about if I stay up until 12, oh my goodness, how am I going to feel tomorrow? I'm going to be completely dead, and I'll have to catch up. So I'm with Nadia here. Is it just not worth it? Yeah. So perspectives and how we do all of these things, they really it's easy to get lost in that. Jack, it's a good quote though. There's no way to get out of the body, so we will probably never see ourselves out of our sense. No, and that's the thing. It's not about getting away from. This is the only thing that you can control. The only thing that you have, whatever this life is, whatever it is we're doing, this is the only thing like I'm controlling. We want to have superpowers and move things around us and feel other things, and you can absolutely be influenced by things around you for sure. Those things exist, but then there's identification with something larger. If you listen to really what the Theravadan Buddhism said, which is that it's an end to identification with anything. Like it's an end to, in Hinduism they have something they call the Atman, which is the tiniest particle that gets reincarnated, and the Buddha said even that part is gone. So my experience is much more towards what the Theravadan Buddhists say, that it seems to be moving towards a point where like all of that would disappear, because It's not just that there's no stick stirring and there's no one observing. It's not just that you lose these perspectives and that things change. There's actually more to it, and when that keeps on going, there seems to be a point where there is simply no sense of origination, and it doesn't feel like I am the one doing things. It's just things happening. It's completely effortless, and it's, some people would call that being guided, or that like a higher force is moving through them, and then they try to identify with that, and then all of a sudden they lose that, because now they're trying to identify with something. Really, the trust that is needed to let go of control and just trusting it's scary. Nadia. Yeah, me also, Nadia. I hope so as well. There's people come and go, and people have things that come into their life. That's why it would be very nice with Discord chat. Like I said, Mats, let's just get that done, because it would be very nice. Me also, I'm wondering about people, not just because I want to have people in the chat, but actually because I'm wondering and hoping that they're okay. And I know there's a few of them who have really serious health issues that if I don't see them for a while, I'm like, oh, I hope everything's okay. So I hope everything is okay. Now, is it true we will die never fully knowing ourselves, and does it matter, like not knowing our full potential? So this is kind of, when you look at Buddhism or any kind of spiritual tradition, they make such a big point of you need to reach your full potential, as if though that's important, because you feel that you are important. I am important. It's important that I reach my full potential. It's important that I do what I came here to do. It's important that I fulfill my destiny, or whatever I'm supposed to do. And there's so much self in that. There's so much identification. I am important. I need to do this. I need to find out this path that I'm supposed to tread so I could get to the right place. What I'm talking about is that if you let go of the idea of, it's not just about getting rid of the observer and the perspective and everything. It's actually getting rid of identification, meaning that you feel that. So when we say non-self is actually large self, non-duality is actually one duality. When people talk about non-duality, what they talk about is one duality. They want to, what would be the opposite of non-duality? One-sidedness. They just feel like everything is one, right? I'm saying that there's something beyond that, because you can feel like everything is one, and it doesn't really help that much. I mean, if you keep changing your beliefs and interaction with the world from that perspective, then yeah, you can make life a lot easier, and there's a lot to be gained from doing that. But there's something beyond that, where even the identification with oneness disappears, and this little Atman, like the Buddha said, even that disappears, and there's nothing that is left to be reborn. Because it just doesn't feel like anyone is there. And that sounds scary, because when we say that, if you're like, oh, there's a loss. No, it's just so much more comfortable to live life without needing anything to happen. Because when you ask a question like that, it doesn't matter if we can die without fully knowing ourselves. As long as you identify and believe that it's important that you figure that out, then you will have a struggle. You're going to have to struggle because you want to get there. You want to know that. If everything was just, if you didn't identify with that, do you care about, that guy in, like, let's say, Papua New Guinea, who lives in that left coconut palm tree on the second river next to the mountain? If he doesn't fully know himself, would you feel bad about that? Is that something that you're kind of okay with? Because you're not identifying with him or her. It's just a random person, and they can do whatever they want. That's kind of, it's not really that either, because like, oh, I don't care, but it's that feeling of everything just is. And then it's such a liberation, because now you can do what you want to do. You don't need to find your purpose. You don't need to get to know yourself. Like, what do you want to do? Maybe that is that you want to go out and party. Maybe that is that you want to change your job. Maybe it is you want to move to another country. You can do whatever you want to do, because there's nothing that is your purpose that you have to do. You just do what you believe is the right thing to do, and then you try it, and it turns out, oh, that didn't work out. Try something else. Your life isn't over. Like, it's just something that didn't work out. If that guy again in Papua New Guinea who lives under the left palm tree, second mountain to the right, if he tried something with a new business, he was going to sell like feathers from paradise birds or something, and then it didn't work out, you'd be like, well, look, I'm not feeling bad about that. I mean, I'm sorry for him, but that's okay. is that sense of like, we make this up because we identify it's so bad if I don't work this out. And this is difficult to do. I have the same thing. That I get into these things. It's just that I think Stephen said last time something about that. If an ex-Buddhist monk still suffers from that, I have no chance. And it is not that it's on off. There's such a scale to this, and life is so much easier when you start letting go of this identification with the idea that things need to be a certain way. I mean, that is what we're training and practicing doing here. But it is difficult to do that. And it's quite counterintuitive sometimes, because we hear so much about become something bigger, find your purpose, find out who you are so you can do what you're supposed to do. And those things are all good things. I mean, I absolutely recommend you to try to find the thing that you enjoy doing. But don't put so much pressure on it, because that's just going to make it worse. Stephen, if all desires eventually goes away, how do you choose what to do next? Okay, so that's an interesting point also. Desire is the feeling that my life will be better if I got over there. That is a desire. I feel uncomfortable being here. If I could just go over there, my life would be so much better. That's how we're used to being motivated. And if you look at a child, like we're talking small children who don't have that, they don't have that drive that we have, like, oh, I need to get there, and like you're going to work so hard. I think you asked about competition in sports last time, Stephen, and that's a very similar, like, I need to get there if I can only win, and you work so hard to get to that point. That wouldn't exist. Then it would simply be, what do you enjoy doing? And you would do that, but there would be so much softness. There wouldn't be any conflict, because there's no one to butt your head against. There would be no wars, there would be no fighting. No one would do like crazy stuff and hurt other people, because it makes no sense to do that. When we hurt other people, or we treat other people in a poor way, steal from them, take things from them, do things to them that they don't want to have done to them, we do that because I believe I deserve this that they have, and I feel jealousy. You have all this thing. So that's desire that causes those problems. But when that disappears, there is this effortlessness, this ease, this just... Again, look at like a small child who is content, who has just fed from the breast milk, and who's like feeling good. They just lie there and they look at the trees like, oh, this is nice. I'm going to go over and taste the tree. And they climb over, they crawl over to the tree, and they start scratching the tree, and they find a little worm, and they taste it. Oh, that tastes disgusting. That's kind of what it's like to not have a strong sense of self. You just do things. The difference is that we're adults. Everyone who is here has a functioning brain and know that, okay, I don't need to eat worms just because I don't feel that it's bad to eat worms. Like, I don't have a feeling like, ooh, I cannot eat worms. That you still wouldn't do it because you can intellectually understand it. So it is very interesting. And since I'm not fully there yet, Stephen, I don't know exactly what that would be like, but it feels very clear that it's not passiveness, that you do nothing and you just sit still and rot away. There's absolutely movement. It's just that it's so effortless and calm and without friction. It's just, I think this is what people say when they say the universe guides me. But then they also combine that with a lot of strong feelings, which makes them come out of it. But when you really feel like you're just doing it, it just feels like the right thing to do. That's much more in line with what that feels like. But it doesn't matter if it turns out that way. I just do them because this is the thing. We want to move over there, so we just go towards there. If I want to get out of this room, there's a door there. I would just get up and walk over there. I don't need to feel like, oh, I need to get out of this room and go over there. Jack, is it so that when you do deep Buddhist practice for like half of your life, you might get to the point of view that everything that goes on outside of the mind is nonsensical and pointless? I would do it the other way, almost, and say that everything that goes on inside the mind is nonsensical and pointless. Christian, I think the Tao Te Ching favorite book says the true sage behaves like a little child. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I actually recorded a video. I had been to my osteopath the other day, and I felt so calm and so at ease and had this effortlessness, non-centricness, and I was sitting and driving the car. And I just started talking about what it actually feels like to be in the present moment, to be here and now, and explaining how I couldn't even describe it as well now as I did then, because I was really there then. And I think it's a video that will be, for a lot of people, just too much detail, because I talk about it actually feels like. And if you've never experienced that, it might sound completely crazy and just not make any sense at all. But if you've seen that and know what that feels like, you will probably recognize yourself, and it will make a lot of sense. Because it really is this feeling of a child doesn't really identify strongly with themselves yet. But you can see how I've just had 2 kids who grew up, and I could so clearly see how when they were small, they didn't feel like I am me. But then all of a sudden they started, this is me. I like these things. I'm afraid of the dark now. My sister says that spiders are scary. I'm also going to be afraid of spiders. And they start identifying and creating all these pressure points, like naturally, like against things around them. Like, this is me, and I relate to spiders, that spiders are bad. Oh, my son, he loves chainsaws, and I have chainsaws, quite a few. And every day I have to go out and just start them. And he knows how to turn them off. He's not allowed to use them yet. And he think that's so funny. So he started identifying, because Papa uses chainsaws, then he likes to use a chainsaw. So we have all these things, and people talk about it as if there was this big conspiracy by the Illuminati or by the patriarchy trying to ruin children's life. It's just natural what happens when we grow up. It's just a completely natural process. It is true that some religions and some people actually intentionally use this to force people into doing bad things. But in and of itself, it will just happen to everyone. We can't really stop that from happening. Will I have more children? I would love to. I'd love to have more kids. We've spoken about it, but we're both too tired. I'm 47. My fiance is 40. So we're quite old to get more kids. If I would have been 10 years younger, absolutely. I would have loved to have 3 kids. It would be really fun. Right now, they're both in that stage where they're just fighting about everything, whatever they do, fighting. And then they're best friends, and then they just like go and hug each other. And usually it would be my son who goes and like pinches my daughter, or hits her, or takes something from her because he wants to be with her. And then she starts screaming and goes away, and they fight for a bit, and then she'll come and sit here with me when I'm working in the office or like doing something else. And then he comes and then I saw you, and then he goes up and they hug each other, and then they're best friends again, and they play perfectly for 10 minutes, and then they fight again. So one more, that would be that would be tough. But I would love to have more kids. It would be I like children. But it's also a commitment when you get a child. There's like 18 years that you have to commit to them, as in living at your home. They can be longer or shorter, but yeah. I'm not too old, no, for sure, but I'm tired. I'm tired, I am worn, and I'm not sure I could handle 3 kids. And I'm also enjoying life a lot, and it would take a lot more energy. I had to turn on the air conditioner to have another one. So I think it's not blowing on me. Nice. Well, in the end, what all of this comes down to is that the more you identify with you, and the more you believe that you are important, the more you're going to have pressure against the world around you. If you try to deny that, if you think that it's all about attachment and desire, and you're trying to do what Buddhist monks much do, it's like, oh, I have no attachment, no desires, and they push that away. They don't actually bring that up and look at it. That's just going to keep it pushed away. It doesn't free you from it. I really believe that there's a big misunderstanding about amongst monastics, in that it's the pure way and that it's somehow better. It's training. It is incredibly beneficial to live a part of your life without a partner, without drinking, without all these things, and just living a really simple life, so you can let go of those things. But then you also need to look at them. If you've never been with a woman or with a man, you will always think that, oh, that's something that I'm missing, and you will always have that. And maybe you let go of it, but you kind of need to go through it. So denying things and denying desires, that's not really a way out. You have to allow yourself to feel it. That doesn't mean you have to act on it or do the things you have desires towards, but we shouldn't be afraid of what we feel inside of us. It's just a feeling. And then moving towards enjoying being here, enjoying the experience. I think it was Jack was saying something about, or someone was saying something about, was it Stephen? About how we can never fully come to our senses. I really believe it's not coming out to our senses, it's really becoming one with our senses, because when you are like a child, what they do is they just experience their senses. And if anyone's been with an infant, you know that they'll just look at the trees and see the leaves. They can just lay mesmerized by seeing the leaves moving, because that is incredibly beautiful. And they can just look at a corner of the room and go like, wow, look at the shadows and everything there. That's so interesting. Because they don't have the person within saying, I know what that is. That's not important. It's just a corner. There's something much cooler here. That's worth much more. Like, they don't have that yet. And children help us see that, for sure. So those of you who are new, what we normally do is we chat like this for a little bit before, and then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a way of coming back to our senses. Today's Thursday, so we have group sitting. We don't have guided meditation, but we'll sit together for 20 minutes, and then after that we go to bed. Next week, hopefully, we'll have set up the Discord channels. If people want to chat, they can actually jump on there and have a chat, or even join the voice chat there. Something retracted, yeah. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. The way we do this is we say out aloud 5 things that we can see in our surroundings. The whole idea is that it's not about saying them out aloud. It's not even about doing 5 things. It's about really seeing them and thinking about this thing we just said about the infant. How do they see things? So I can bring up my sock here. Like this is a sock. And some people might say, oh, that's disgusting. There's a sock. There's like a foot sweat on it, and that's been walking on stuff. There's probably kiki poop, like chicken poop. I don't think there is, but there could be, because we have chickens, hence. And they were saying things, but like seeing this just as what it is. This is actually really interesting. Look at all these patterns here, and there's like these numbers, colors, textures, and there's different materials here and there. They look really advanced. Wow, that's quite something. Seeing the shadows, the light, how it changes when I move it. Like really becoming interested in reality. Not because you like it's something special, but seeing that everything is special. Everything is really interesting to look at. So I see a sock. Next I see a LCD display, and that has lots of lights, and there's like trees and stuff in there. Reflections. Snowflake. Interesting. I see my new toy. I'm actually going to set it right now so that it's for 20 minutes. I'd be very interested when it's done. Tell me if you can actually hear the vibrating part, because it vibrates really strongly. Maybe it disturbs you. I saw the timer. I can see a what do you call that? A power adapter. And I can see a Buddha statue. Oh, I should put that up. That's a nice one. Got that from my mother. Those are 5 things that I could see. Next we take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel the weight of this thermos. It's a different one than my normal. I can feel the weight. I can feel the softness of the surface, but I can also feel that there's either scrapes or just dirt on this one, because it's not completely even. I can feel it when I do this. It kind of leans to one side. Almost dropped it. Interesting. And there's a dent here or something. Just experiencing objects with all of our senses. There's this exercise where you take up a lemon and you smell it, you see it, you taste it, and you touch it, and you look at it, and you try to hear it when you squeeze. There's something about actually seeing things with all our senses, because if you think about it, we don't do that. We just, oh, I know what that is, and then we're done with it. So that's exactly what we're practicing doing here. I can feel wait, I wasn't feeling right. Yes, it was feeling. I can feel the brass of this bell. It's cold. It has a coarse, you call that a little bit, yeah, coarse, not coarse, chalky surface, sticks almost. Quite even. There's some unevenness inside of it, maybe dirt. I can feel my woolen sofa. So much sensations when I feel it. It's very nice and soft. I can feel the itching in my nose. And here it's also, that's why in meditation we often sit with itches or pains, because I feel the itch and there's like, oh, no, I'm not gonna put my finger in there. I'm not gonna itch, yeah, because even though I can feel it, there's an impulse, and what you start noticing when you meditate is like, oh, you're just sitting there and like, and you weren't even aware that you did this, because there's an impulse and you just follow it. That's very much how we interact with the world around us. We see an impulse and then we follow with that. People who behave in ways that are really destructive usually have really destructive impulses that they just follow, and they never learn to stop and think like, hey, I don't need to follow this impulse. Just because there's an uncomfortable feeling or a distortion that moves my finger up, I don't have to act on that. It's just a feeling. There's a lot of, what do you call that? KB, cognitive behavioral theory. They work with that. They look at what it feels like to actually go through things in difficult situations, and then they might not talk about it that way, but you get to feel what that feeling feels like. So those are 4 things that I could feel. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. I can hear the fan of the air conditioner blowing. I can hear the compressor outside pumping. I hear cars driving on the road. 3 things that I could hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell a little bit of stuffiness in here. Strawberries. That's strange. Yeah. It smells like strawberries. 2 things that I can smell. Next, 1 thing that we can taste. I taste cheese. Time's up. Could you hear the the vibrator, the vibration of my alarm? If you want to, feel free to keep on sitting. I am going to go to bed. And Matt, I'll talk to you. Yeah, we'll see. I'll message you tomorrow when things calm down, and we'll set a date, and we'll set up the Discord channel so that we can have conversations after. I think that would be a really nice thing. It was a pleasure as always. Thank you, Jack. Have a good night, everyone, and until next time, remember that it's really not that... Just don't take things so seriously, and really focus on enjoying whatever you're doing. I know it's difficult, and I have problems with it as well sometimes, that we get into these moods where it's just difficult to get out of. But it's not that you need to stop your thoughts. It's not that you need to become another person. It's just choose to not feel bad and just enjoy things as they are. It's not so serious. So I'll see you on Monday. Thank you.